Okay. And Baba was very conversational yesterday, and that really set the tone for this morning's session, a conversation on new experiences with Bapdada. And we have a very experienced group here who have been with Baba for 25 years and more, and have had many experiences with Baba and are creating new experiences. So this morning they will share with us some of their new experiences and the ways that they create and sustain these experiences. So on the panel this morning we have Sister Gopi from Australia. I'm not going to give any details of each because you're going to really get to know them very clearly, better than I can even introduce them to you from their discussion with you. Then we have Sister Elizabeth from USA, who just sang, and Brother Prashant from the UK. And to moderate it all will be Sister Caroline from Chile. And so they will take us through a very beautiful time, and I think there will also be time for questions from you all, or for you to share your own experience. On behalf of everyone, I would love to welcome the group, and I'm very, very, very appreciative at the short notices for many of you, but we appreciate your time. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, thank you, Grace. Okay, so if anyone had an idea that this was the group, you may have seen us in the dining room this morning. And the preparation for this conversation, I think, was even more interesting than the conversation will be. You never know. It reminded me, do you remember the Avyakt Murli from last Sunday when Baba was talking about how his task is like a big cake and it needs all the ingredients, which is all of us and all our specialties, in the cake for the cake to turn out right, for the task of transformation to happen. Do you remember? Hello? Translation, we're waiting a little bit delay on translation too. Anyway, what I discovered or was reminded of this morning in our breakfast is that really the ingredients are so different. The way that Gopi is traveling her journey to resolve back to her original state and creating these new experiences is so unique and so different from the way in Prashant Bhai is doing it. And it's so interesting because each one is so much an authority in their own experience, in their own journey, and has this authority of that experience to offer us all. And what is beautiful about the yagya, this grand sort of mela of coming together, is that each one will speak something different, and touch different ones. So hopefully the ingredients are not just what's on stage, the ingredients are in the entire room. And originally, Elizabeth was just going to pop in and out singing a song. But I don't know about you. You know, when Baba says in the golden age, we only use the arts for learning, we don't sit around rationalizing, intellectualizing at all. It's pure arts. I think it's time that the arts aren't just an adjunct where, someone entertains us, but the arts, which is a way of touching deep into the soul space, is present in this space as well. So from time to time, Elizabeth might say, I'd like to contribute, and we'll have a song, which will be a way of journeying us to some new experience, which won't come from Gopi unless you plan to sing. No? Prashant's going to do a tap dance later. No, it's not true. So that's the sort of panel that we're going to have today. I know a while back I was experiencing for myself a kind of dry patch listening to the Murli. When I was reading it, it was okay. But when I was listening, I was feeling a bit kind of, a bit like a jelly intellect, nothing much going on, just sort of sitting there. And so I started to colour mandalas while I was listening to the Murli. And these mandalas were names of God in the Jewish faith, which I'd found somewhere. And it was amazing because just doing that, I heard the Murli in a completely different way. It switched on the right hemisphere of the brain, even though it's not as obvious as left and right. And the colour did something to the way I heard the Murli, and it became a holistic experience. And I heard the whole Murli, not just a few points. So I think for me, this continual thing of new experiences with Baba is, how do I come out of my old patterns of how I think things should be and what I think is right? And where is the limit of what I might do to stimulate that new experience? How do I go beyond the neural pathways? We have the hardware of the brain, and that hardware of the brain has these pathways that are etched deeply over time by certain sanskaras, and they drive me as well. So how do I get out of those old pathways in the hardware of the brain and create these new pathways, because I can, new connections, new experiences? So these are some of the things, the how. And then Prashant Bhai's got his kind of almost closed system, refined understanding of where Baba wants to take us to every day. And Gopi's very experienced in being able to help us understand some things that might liberate us to go into that refined system. So, as a kind of context, Gopi, would you like to share something about this new experiences with Baba and how you're understanding each day in your journey?
Okay, yes. So I've been in Madhaban for maybe about 5 days now, and this is the latest in new experiences, has been the feeling that Baba lets me do anything. And you have to, I guess, understand that in its context. We have a Brahman lifestyle, and we have expectations upon ourselves and principles and so on. But I've always been someone who's really enjoyed the value of freedom, and I suppose also living in Australia has got a little bit to do with that as well. But the idea of Baba being someone who's got such faith in me, this is my experience lately, that I can actually do anything. And that doesn't mean to say that I actually want to do everything and anything, but that I can do certain things without maybe the fear of this not being right or being an incorrect thing or whatever. And once again, I'm not talking about principles, I'm not talking about lifestyle. I'm talking about, enhancing creativity as a process of making my relationship with Baba more enlightened and beautiful. Or
what would be an example of enhancing creativity? Because I think we need to get down to some nuts and bolts here.
Okay, she's good at that. In my perspective, I have always liked to write, and so writing as part of my life as a Raj Yogi, it's enjoyable. I find a lot of expression in it, and it brings me closer to Baba because it makes me feel clearer when I write things. And, I might be writing about Baba, I might be writing about a particular theme or a particular experience. So that writing being the creative aspect, I mean, it could be many things, and this is something that's enhanced my experience lately.
Okay, thank you. I want to just pick up something, this idea you're talking about having freedom. And this morning, you know, in the Murali, when Baba spoke about Srimad, I heard it in relation. I was thinking about this, you know, conversation today, and so I was thinking, you know, obviously, I'm saying obviously, we put this topic, or this topic was put because we're not necessarily having new experiences or generating new experiences all the time. And Baba says, you know, create newness, and I think it's here first. So how does Srimad help us with new experiences? Prashant, would you like to respond?
Thank you. You know, one thing that is very obvious to us, the spiritual experiences are blocked by our ego, because ego has a full agenda to stay at a physical level, and a drop of poison is enough to block it. So one simple experiment, you know, which brought results, and in time these results continue to grow, that is reduce the power of this physical world. So when Baba says this is a drama, and today's Murli, you know, Baba is going, you know, drama. Drama means it is really a drama, it is a story, and it is repeated again. So when you see it as a story, really a story, and Prashant is part of that story, and there is the world beyond this story. This is a simple message. Then in 1 second, the power of this physical world becomes small, and ego shrinks. Before that, ego screams also, but ego shrinks. And that personal observation allowed me to go beyond the physical. If we see, you know, one nice angle Baba brings, Baba says Raj Yoga is easiest of the easy. And next line Baba said, it is the difficult amongst the difficult. You know, most difficult, but it's also easiest of the easy. It is easy if we use the divine sight, divine intellect. Because with this, you can see everything that happened today and everything that happened in the past, it all story. And I don't need to dissect, I don't need to think, there's nothing to complain about. Mind is free to go into what is subtle and alaukik. Now for this we need divine sight, and we need to make it stronger. What can be, and what was my limitation for many years, I know our default mechanism is stone intellect, and stone intellect is incapable of going beyond. The stone intellect means gross, it is stuck in the, it makes everything big. And when this is made big, then all the, you know, the ego and vices flourish. And then one is struggling. All the religions are struggling with this. You know, they got great ideas, but they are using stone intellect to deal with these ideas. And then it is, even our meditation, it becomes like imagination. Words, they don't create experience. We have to work with a different instrument. You know, and divine intellect is not strong. We have not used it for a long time, but that is where we have to start from. It can be, someone said, I'm getting glimpses of it. That is the way it starts. You know, but you work with it, and once that is made strong, then this avyakt and alaukik dimension opens up, and game is solved. they continue to increase, the experiences afterwards. Then it is not imagination, not visualization. That dimension becomes your reality.
Okay, so very beautiful. And this is a panel. So in relation to the Srimat question that I just asked you, how does Srimat, how do you understand it as something that is helping us? And how does it, like a misunderstanding of it, get in the way of this divine intellect opening up? So if you could respond to that, that'd be terrific.
The Ram comes to remove Ravan. Very simple program of Baba. And Ravan is clever to survive. It is Ravan's kingdom. And Baba knows the game well, to stop Ravan, to starve Ravan. And because we are ruled by ego, we will not think the way Baba thinks. We are really working for our enemy most of the time. Yes? Because Ravan is the, king, our starting position. That's why Baba says, surrender to my, my directions. And your first success is to remove Ravan. You are already angel. Only thing that blocks the angel is the Ravan within us and within all of us.
Okay, so what do you understand as Srimat?
Every sentence Baba speaks, it is to gain victory over Ravan.
Yeah. Okay.
In different ways, because the different cleverness of Maya comes to postpone things, to twist things, to turn things around. Ravan wants to survive. So Srimat is, don't do this, don't touch this, don't think of this. Everything is to block Ravan so that angel can fly.
Take us into an experience now, Prashant Bhai, of the angel flying and getting rid of Ravan. A few minutes, yeah.
As we saw, the game is radical, and it is good for us to be prepared for something that is radical. And it can be just few minutes. So during these few minutes, let us experiment with divine sight. And I use this word, it includes divine intellect, Paras intellect. And with this sight, we see the whole physical world as very, very small. Small in size, small in importance, short in time. It appears just like a Cinderella story. So everything that happened today, yesterday, all within that story. And with this divine sight, we can go beyond the story. And beyond is the real world. In a story, there is fiction. Beyond the story is the family. This is the world of light and people of light. They look like stars. We call them souls. This is the world of the family and the father. For them it is normal to look like a star. It is normal to be immortal. It is normal to belong to that sky. Normal to belong to God, to be loved by God. It is normal not to have any desires in the story. Normal not to think of the story. It is normal for them to experience that silent contentment, silent peace. When they do come in the story world, they come with the divine side. That is, they see the story as story. Story doesn't become big. They know the visiting stars in the story world. They are the loving, extremely lovely brothers, angelic stars. With this simple attention, they come in this story world and continue the journey.
Okay, quick survey. Who found that an easy experience? Just hands up. Okay, so at least kind of, what about español? Una experiencia fácil? Sí? Okay. And Russian? Una experiencia fácil? No, I can't do Russian. So Prashant Bhai uses a technique there which you don't necessarily realize, but he doesn't ever use the word I. He talks about them, and he tells a story, and he says it's really normal. And so I think one thing is we can go to Prashant's classes and we can sit and have those experiences, or the other sisters and brothers who do that. But we can speak to ourselves about them, about the story. Because the thing about story, and Baba uses it all the time, is that we identify with the protagonist. We automatically, and especially if it's our story. But as soon as we say I, the ego comes in and it blocks us. So in very few minutes, we were almost all went to this experience. So this is a very easy Raj Yoga, but the difficult part is we have a long tail of karma of 2,500 years. And Gopi, we were talking this morning about... Gopi said, I have a long tail as well. But we all have got this long tail that whips around and, you know, we say, okay, I can go into that nice, easy, sweet experience. But it goes, you don't deserve that experience, or I don't have time for that experience, or, you know, our old sanskars and karmas take over. And sometimes emotions overwhelm us and wash us, and even though we can say it's not true, but how do you manage that? Or how have you learned or helped others to be able to sort of not fall into the emotional world? Sorry. Is that a relevant question, do you think? Can I see yes or no? Yes? Yeah, lots of heads going. Yeah, and things. Okay, thank you. Otherwise we can move on.
And I'll pick that up in the context of the topic, which is about having the deep relationship with God and what makes that relationship deeper, and what can get in the way of it. And I think Prashant's mentioned ego, of course, in its many guises. And another way of seeing this too, sometimes the thing that gets in the way of our relationship with Baba is our emotional stuckness. I don't know if that's translatable, but some of the experience lately from the Murlis and the way Baba is speaking now to us when he comes. I mean, and I think Sheila Ben was saying this yesterday, it's very much about loving relationship for all of the people that are present and those that are not there physically as well. So in that context, looking at, what might get in the way of my having a very loving relationship with Baba, of the many types of relationships that are available. Baba for me is quite often my husband, and it's a pretty solid relationship over a long period of time. And this is a good husband who's very, very understanding, very sort of strong, and also enables me to experiment and explore, and I like that. So getting back to this idea of what can get in the way of having a good relationship, sometimes our emotional state can be an issue. If we are trying to remember Baba or be with Baba in the beloved situation, it's only going to be as beloved as I can enable it to be on my side. I mean, Baba will, of course, as we know, Baba will be doing everything. Baba will be doing everything to engage us individually, all of us, in whatever relationship it is we feel we need or we want or needs to be happening. He'll be doing everything, yeah? But what gets in the way is us, yeah? So whether it's in an ego sense or whether it's in an emotional sense as well. So if I start trying to make a relationship with Baba as my beloved, and stories come up from the past, not able to put that full stop, then, and it might be Brahman past, it might be longer past, of stories of sorrow as far as relationship goes, then I won't be able to go into the depth of that type of relationship with Baba, because I'm stuck in my emotional intensity about it. And I'm sure you all know when emotions can come, like particularly anger, particularly sorrow, they can be ferocious. I think Carolyn wants to say something. Okay. And we can, we can go in the whirlpool of that for a while. And yeah, in a way it's a waste of time, but it's not really a waste of time, because that's where we're at that particular point in time. We have to be there and do that and experience that, and hopefully choose to change our experience of that. Yeah, do you understand what I'm saying? Is this clear? Yeah.
So how do you deal with that when it happens? What are some of the ways that you...
Well, just one thing lately is, there's methods in what Baba says, but I think we have to, look a bit deeper into this and see. And one practice that I used, and this is a word, for some people it's quite a loaded word, so just watch when you start thinking about it, is going into the whole area of mindfulness, which in Buddhism has been used. It's also been used a lot in Western psychology, with mostly good results. But considering, I'm from a mental health background, so normal is not really a easily defined word, but especially for Brahmins at the end of the cycle, just understanding mindfulness is something that it can enable us to be much more of a detached observer and dispassionate, as is suggested in the Mahabharata. The Pandavas were suggested to become dispassionate because passion or emotions got in the way. So to be able to be with an emotion as we're experiencing it, and let's say anger, everyone knows what that is, well, I'm sure. We're experiencing some anger. So what do we sometimes do? We sometimes, at that very point, we try and control it. Yeah, we think, we shouldn't be thinking like this. Am I a real Brahman? I shouldn't be having these kind of thoughts. Let's either stuff it down or let's ignore it or whatever we do with it, you know.
But sometimes it comes out and then you feel ashamed of
it
it.
might even come out as in verbal or physical actions, you know. Yeah.
So what do you do?
Well, in a process of feeling this feeling, to be able to look at it very much as a detached observer, as a witness. So you are not that feeling. You might be having that feeling. You might be having the experience of that feeling, but actually you are not that feeling. That feeling is separate from you. Baba goes into being a detached observer of, you know, the drama, but like the drama, there's lots of things in the drama, so we can take it in the context of our emotion, for example.
So can you give us a step 1, step 2, step 3 clear method?
Okay.
Because it sounds to me a lot like what you were sharing, Prashant, in the experience, make the world, the material world, the world of action, the drama, very small, and kind of push it away, and it's not me. I'm not experiencing it. And it sounds quite similar, what you're suggesting.
Okay, so you're there with your, you know, just sitting with your emotion, and so step 1, acknowledge the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And acknowledge it in a observing way. And then just let it be. Don't try and control it, don't try and fix it, don't try and change it, don't try and tell it what to do, any of this, just let it be. And just one point here, if this is an experience where it's very distressing, you might need, you know, the person experiencing that might need some further psychological help. But in the general context of a feeling or an emotion coming, just be with it. So first step, just be with it, acknowledge it. And I'm saying this too because, you know, I know people in the West, sometimes they're very out of touch with their feelings.
Okay, so step 1, acknowledge it.
Acknowledge
Step 2?
Step 2, it's a bit like let it just ride through you like a wave. So just allow it to be with it. And similarly to what Prashant was saying about the story, don't create a story. Because, for example, if we're having an emotion of anger, we might start creating a whole story in our mind at that moment, and then maybe we detach from that, but then we'll latch onto something else, because this is the nature of the mind. You know, mind's like a restless horse.
I heard something the other day that said as soon as you create a story or justify a position in your own mind, you quadruple your attachment to the past thing that happened. And then you... Okay, so we've got 3 points. We've got point 1 is acknowledge it. Point 2, let it be. Point 3. And the way...
Yeah, well, it's probably sounding, it's like putting a full stop to the past by not creating more stories. Now, eventually, what can happen, and it might be in a few minutes, it might be however long it takes. I mean, you don't have to sit around for hours doing this. Go for a walk or something. But just in the experimental stages of doing it, it might be, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, and that emotion will actually settle down, that feeling. Because you haven't tried to control it, you haven't tried to fix it, you haven't tried to make it into something else, you haven't suppressed it, you've just let it be. So eventually, because, time moves on, it's just going to dissipate. I'm not saying it won't ever happen again, but it won't happen again with that level of intensity.
So sometimes that can be also karma, right? The energy of the past, karma, it comes to be settled, and if you just let it go, the karma's done. The energy passes, it's gone. But if you start to fight with it, then you continue to move in that energy and that karma.
Yeah. So the emotion might be very much part of your karmic situation or settlement. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so new experiences can be easy. We just tell ourselves a story and we can go there and make everything small. Sometimes we're blocked by our past and by certain emotions or situations that trigger us. I wanted to ask you, Elizabeth. This morning Baba used, and he uses very, very often in the Murli, lots of archetypes, you know, these sort of things like prince and demons and, you know, all these characters from stories. Spiritual warriors, he talked about this morning, and that we're actors. And we hear those things all the time, but when we talk about the arts, like for example, when you're writing a song, or when you sing a song, or when someone is performing, it's like you move into some other character. How does that help us in creating new experiences? And can we do that as, you know, day to day? How do we use these archetypes?
That's a really interesting question, because what I've heard that's being offered so far is make a story about making this other story, meaning this life, small, and then also be able to tell your story and also release, let go of your story. My experience, I use the word my, this soul's experience, being in the theater, I remember being backstage and I had this character I was playing, a very dramatic character, and I'm going, and I had come into Baba's knowledge, and I was sitting backstage and I'm going, this is all fake. Everything is fake. The whole world is made out of flats, sandbags, painted sets, and you go on stage and you create the illusion that my character is real. And it's so tricky. One hand, we have to tell the story to release it. Other hand, I have to tell a new story to get perspective on it. Like, how is it that God he starts a Murli with a song? You know, he'll take a little bit of a song or a little bit of a story from Hindu mythology and expound on it so that we can get a perspective on story. So we can create a new story just as we did 5,000 years ago. Now, I'm sorry, back to what you were asking me so I stay on track. Okay. So for my personal experience, I have observed that I'm more of an emotional dynamic. And I've seen, and I've shared with these souls here my story, but I've seen how I can make my story so big, and especially if you find yourself, do you ever find yourself telling your story, the same story, over and over again? You don't do that, do you? You never repeat a story, do you? Maybe in the head. Prashant is suggesting maybe inside. Those repetitive stories are the ones I keep an eye on, because they're going to create it, they're going to manifest more of the same until I let go of that story. And maybe it could be that I tell the story, and as Baba does, he will play a part of a song. And also, like, if I sing a song, and I really get into the words of the song, people will feel, oh, you heard me, you knew my story. And I'll go, okay. because they took something from it. And there's something about the arts that it taps into some kind of meditative, collective energy. And I thought it was so, I've never felt so respected as an artist when Carolyn was saying that the arts are actually going to be the method of teaching, of expressing. I will be employed in the golden age.
Not waiting tables.
Yeah. So I take pride in that, but it's thank you. Because usually it's sing a song and thank you very much. But I have a song that I thought I could segue into. And
Invite us to how we might kind of lean into that as going out of our own story and into something else.
yes, and I'll try and bring what was shared in a few words. And I will sing Over the Rainbow, but 1 minute. I'm going to explain. Somewhere Over the Rainbow is from a story called The Wizard of Oz. Who here does not know the story of Wizard of Oz? Okay, doesn't matter. It's about a little girl that sulks from her family. And she asks the universe, you know, where is the golden age? Somewhere way up high, there's a land I heard of. There's something that makes sense in this world. And then as the situation goes, she gets knocked out from a storm and goes unconscious. And her whole story is about, I want to go home. I've got to get home. I've got to get home. And everyone says, follow the yellow brick road. The yellow brick road is symbolic of Mariada's the Srimat. Just stay on that yellow brick road. And then these characters that she meets, they present themselves as a problem, but as she develops a relationship with these characters, out of the problem comes her virtues. She finds that she's intelligent, she finds she has a heart, and she finds she has courage. So we have to stay on that yellow brick road, yet not be afraid of whatever surfaces in our drama. If I buy into that, whatever surfaces, meaning a situation, a story in my life. So, does this sound familiar? If something comes up, an obstacle, a test, a conflict, if I fight with it, what happens? It increases. If I tell the story and go on and on and on about it, I keep repeating it. But just as Gopi was saying, to remain mindful, present, and as Prashant was offering, keep a perspective. This is really a small story. It's just Maya. It's just another drama. Did you know that when we leave this theater, you'll see that it's made out of backdrops and sandbags and painted sets. This is a small story. So I'll sing this song, and it's about going beyond, somewhere over the rainbow. The rainbow, way up high, there's a heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dared to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me. Where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Baba, I know I'll get through these clouds, for at the end of the rainbow is you, and my future will unfold. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me. Where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue. Dream really do come true. If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I? Did you go?
But what I want to say is so interesting because, in a way, that's your contribution on the panel from your speciality, and it's so rare and unusual that we have these glorious moments that are of the arts, that are natural, normal, that it's like bravo, and yet what Prashant shared also is bravo, but we hear that more often, and what Gopi's saying, the way is also bravo, but I think we need to hear and include more things of the arts as a natural kind of part of our learning and remembering, don't you? Yes, thank you. So wonderful. Why do we have to have new experiences? Can we get a microphone, brother? Hello? Could we have a microphone down on the floor as well? Thank you. Meanwhile, why a new experience is important? Can't we just turn up every day and remember the days of our childhood? And Prashant, you have, like, you know, one of the things with Prashant is comes from this Hindu background, so he knows all the characters and all the stories, but he has this Western living and intellect, so he brings them across the bridge for us. All of these stories you bring to life, and you help us all have these new experiences. But for you, how do you keep new experiences, and why are they important?
And one is not just an experience for its own sake, because we get experiences from drama also, and but Baba's emphasis is come into alokik experiences, because these experiences nourish the angel, and there is eternal richness at that level, in that dimension, which is not explored.
Prashant, I want to interrupt so you can share with everyone, because I've been in your classes. You say nourish the angel, but maybe you can share a little bit about the language that you use, the paras intellect and the angel. Just to what is your platform for taking us or taking yourself?
Recently, Baba mentioned in one Murli, soul-conscious soul is an angel. And in other words, there is internally a competition between the angel and the demon. It is good to use this language, because all these different ego, they are like, they are Ravan's manifestation. And they are getting full experiences all the time. Right now, for example, we are interested in lunch, and we are seeing the drama. Subtle and alokik, this is not normally seen. This is with Brahmins. What chance, outside of this world is. More we get into in the experience of invisible and alokik, and that dimension, that feeds the soul. More soul is nourished by that. It is like an angel coming back to consciousness, angel. And this is like this is the game Baba is into. Compared to anything that the world has got to offer, what Baba is doing, Baba knows that behind all this is an angel hiding, and angel has to be made awake, and angel has to become strong to stop the mischief of the ego. And the nourishment for that angel is alokik experiences. What we've been mentioning at different times, different ways, we have to take a jump. If we do not take that jump, then we stay on this side, and then we try to adapt knowledge to making this life better in some way, like stress management kind of world. But the bigger success, we can use knowledge. And Baba also says it is a game of 1 second. And that jump takes 1 second. It is like waking up. Soul wakes up. Just like someone is asleep, wakes up, and world changes. Something similar, waking up. And experiencing that. It may start for 1 minute. One thing that we may have to underline this, to go for quality, even for 1 minute. One student once asked, I want to know the best meditation. I'm new, I'm first time, but I want to know what is the best. Tell me the best. It is sensible, very sensible person. He's still there. Because if we underestimate them, they will not understand this. We ourselves give them the second best. And then our churning is also the second best. For ourselves, it is possible. Go for the best. Here we are talking about angel, we are talking about life with God, love from God, world of immortality, alaukik, world where there is no reason for sorrow. We can say, okay, let me go for it for 1 minute. I may have to use the divine intellect, divine sight. Baba says he has given you the gift. Use it all and go for that full immersion in that experience. As we were saying before, only obstacle is the story, the physical world. Reduce the power of it. There is no reason to think of anything of this during that minute, because it is story. It is. There are so many stories in this world, and this is just another story. Finish the power of it. It allows us to take that jump. And once you have done it, it is like as the nourishment. Angel becomes stronger, it becomes easier, other experiences open up. This is our game, and this is what we got to offer to the world. Uniqueness that we have got to offer to the world is this.
So these experiences, which maybe are not different every time, they're just kind of the nourishment of the truth of the self, like nourishing my innermost truth.
Nice.
To be stronger and appear. And that's the importance of it.
Very clear, yes.
Yeah, and Baba's kind of presence is nourishing that
Absolutely.
ever more.
And everything becomes authentic on that side. Just to a simple, our common observation, 100% of our sorrow is because of the physical world. Let us say story, 100%. 100% of desires are because of the story. 100% of vices and ego are connected with the story. If we have a wrong attitude towards it, everything will increase. Desires and different kinds of sorrow will increase. We have the right attitude towards it, it becomes zero. During that minute, it becomes zero. Story, there is no reason for sorrow, it's story. No reason for desires, not even preference, it's a story. And now you are into the other side, other reality, and that is changeless, endless, eternal. It is the world with God. Then your experiences are authentic. And the one word Baba uses, which we don't hear anywhere else, embodiment. Embodiment of love, embodiment of knowledge, embodiment of spirituality, embodiment of virtues. When we are mixed with little ego at a prashant level, we can't be embodiment of anything. We can experience some things, but not the embodiment. Awake soul, where he knows there is zero reason for desire and zero reason for sorrow. Internally, he is, awake soul is the embodiment that Baba wants us to experience. It is inside, from inside. It is experience. It is not trying to express, show here, but experience internally of the soul is full at every level and worthy to be loved by God because it is different to the role. He is not mixing Awake soul doesn't say, I am the soul, but connected with Prashant. No, Prashant is part of the story and that is a script. Awake soul is always the soul, completely different to Cinderella, and feel worthy to be loved by God unconditionally.
So take us there now. A few minutes.
Sure. So always good to check the posture is good. We know concentration is important. Just a few minutes we use our full concentration. We use our divine sight. Divine sight helps us to see the way God sees. And in 1 second, we are understanding down below is a story. Everything that happened in the past and present and going to happen, it's all Cinderella. We are able to come beyond. And beyond, this is God's world. World of light, world of complete silence. This is the world of these living stars. We see the reality of this world, reality of these stars. These stars are immortal and they are beyond harm. The story cannot change the sky. These living stars, they know the mind where there are zero desires. And when there are no desires, there are no disappointments. World of silent contentment. This is the world of wisdom, world of peace. In this world, everyone is immensely worthy of love. If they are desireless and sorrowless, they are childlike and godlike. All are worthy of love, worthy of great respect, forever. The soul is awake to this dimension. The family, the true family with the Father. At this level, to be like a star is normal. To be immortal is normal. Father is also immortal. He knows he is incorporeal. He knows he is eternal. He knows everyone else is like him. He knows all belong to him forever. He knows all are immensely worthy of love. Various titles Baba speaks in the Murli applies to these angelic stars. They are those noble and divine beings, angelic beings. We realize that truth is immensely beautiful. Truth for everyone is so good. They are angelic princes who belong to the King of Kings forever. They got immortality, they got bliss, contentment, peace. Their family is immensely lovely. They lack nothing, they need nothing. And they got a great story to experience. They know sky is good and the story is also good. Forever. We realize the truth for everyone is beautiful. As we continue on our journey in the sky and on earth, we remind ourselves of this beautiful truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant Bhai. I would like to ask that we finish at 12:30 with Gopi take us to an experience of relationship with Baba, because in all of the experiences with Prashant is Baba as the father, but he says we have to have all relationships, and you referred to that earlier. And so maybe you can take us in a meditation, not just now, but at the end. I want to know if anyone wants to ask a question of anyone or make a comment. There's a microphone that's open. If anyone would like to. No? Okay. Then talk to us a little bit about relationships with Baba, because he says we have to have all relationships, not just the father. And this morning when he said about the Pandavas, you know, having loving intellects at the time of destruction, that intellect that's got the love of God and being spiritual guides. So how are you able to keep alive these new experiences with all different relationships?
Well, I have to make sure I'm enjoying my Amrit Vela, and that's paramount importance.
How do you make sure that you can enjoy it?
Well, just be fresh for it, respect the time and respect what I have to do to be present at that time. And yeah, I mean, there have been periods of time where Amrit Vela hasn't been the greatest, but generally I think it's been pretty good, and I've always been respectful towards that being the maximum, point of benefit of the day. Everything else seems to, sort of wax and wane a bit after that, but as we come into the day's experiences,
experiences, different relationships. Because the other day when we talked about this topic, you said, oh yeah, but it's not just in meditation, it's how I bring Baba with me in my day.
Yeah.
It's not just new experiences in meditation.
Yeah, well, I suppose everyone's thinking these days, and I think it's important that Baba's not just someone that we connect with when we sit down in meditation, but that we're actually, constantly present with Baba as we're going around doing what we have to do. And the quality of that experience will engender, and make the quality of my day good, give me new experiences. And it's always like, there's someone there to talk to about what's going on, because we can't always fulfill our understanding of what's going on. And sometimes Baba might just feel, well, it's just time to not think too much about it, really, I think it's the time of not thinking too much about a lot of things. We need to have a desire to deepen relationships. I remember one Murli from a long time ago where Baba was saying that if you have had all relationships with Baba in the confluence age, then it's like your record of relationships throughout the cycle will be pretty good. And the relationships that you didn't really have that much experience with, they won't be as fulfilled. So we've got that opportunity now to really go into different levels of experience. For me personally, I really like friend companion. As I was saying before about the husband and the beloved, and they all bring with them different feelings, different feelings of joy, different feelings of endearment, different feelings of strength, different feelings of I don't have to do much here, this is great and easy. So mother, Baba is the mother, is really, really nice. And it's always about thinking of the perfect relationship, how that perfect relationship would be. And to my way of thinking, if we can experience all these different ways of relating in a creative way in our meditation, then it fills us up with that experience of, being a mother who is like this, or being a beloved who would be like this, or being, or being the father even. So.
I remember a Murli and I've experienced where Baba says he will also make him. You can make him almost seem physical. That the subtle world is this kind of midway point, but it can almost be like he's really present on a physical level almost. I felt him grab a hold of my hand, for example.
Yeah, well, we have a wonderful picture of Brahma Baba. Do you know that really big... I don't think there's... Yeah, well... It's the black and white one, and Daddy Janki really loves it, and she suggested that the centre should have this picture. I think you know the one I'm talking about. But we've got a really large picture of that in our centre. And believe it or not, Baba winks and has all these different facial expressions. That is my experience. This picture is alive, so... This is like having Baba physically there. I'm talking about Brahma Baba. So, Brahma Baba's around. He's very present.
Okay, so, I think there's a lot of healing that happens too, isn't there, when we do all those different relationships with, things from this birth. Why don't you take us into a final experience then for this day on something that for you is new and alive at the moment in relationship with Baba?
Okay.
For a few minutes,
so, just be comfortable in your seat and in your physical body. Just take yourself to the center of the forehead to be aware of yourself as a soul. It's that tiny point of light that you are. Just become aware of that. Radiating, sparkling, sending out various types of pure energy. And think of the divine, complete soul that you at this point of time know as Baba. And just select a relationship that you may not have experienced, or a relationship that you may have even avoided, or a relationship that you would like to explore. Just one relationship with Baba as that. So you, the soul, connecting with love. And Baba being very present, very pleased to see you. And it could almost be that Baba adores you. And the feelings of that relationship that you've chosen, all the pure feelings of peace and love, honesty, security, power, innocence. Just tap into those pure feelings that you are exchanging with Baba. Baba's showering you with these feelings unconditionally. And you're accepting them. And it's reciprocal. So what Baba's giving you, you're reflecting, and you're reflecting that out into the world. And just choose one main feeling. One main feeling in this beautiful relationship. And keep that with you. And maybe at a later time explore that more. Om Shanti.
Thank you very much. Very beautiful. So that is it. Did you have another song to sing? You do. Great. So we're going to finish with a song. I think we can just say thank you now to Sister Gopi and Brother Prashant and Sister Elizabeth, so she can take us into the experience of something new with song, and then we go off for lunch or bus or whatever. So thank you all. We're getting a song. Oh, take your...
Okay.
Okay, it was a really rich experience. I don't know if you felt it, but at least I felt it from where I was. And I want to thank you all so much for bringing such a rich diversity of expressions of experiencing Baba. And just to say to the audience, the group here, that after Sister Elizabeth's song, you can just move out silently. There will be nothing more because it will be quite meditative. So we just leave the hall silently and go for our lunch. Thank you all for coming. It's not a large number, but it was good enough. Everybody who needs to be here is here. Thanks a lot. Om Shanti.
Gopi, thank you for that meditation. It was, this has been a very special experience for me, sitting up here. I could praise these teachers. I mean, I've admired their classes over the years, but this song would be nice to take the words and make that relationship with Baba deeper. So take that special relationship that you had in the last meditation. And for me, this song is special because I sang it to Bapdada many years ago. Sitting here, watching you, I want to open my heart deep inside to the fire burning away my pride, burning me down to the gold in which I began. And I hope you can catch my eyes. And I can't believe how much you care. And I'm learning that you are so aware. No matter what you're showing, the love keeps flowing. And I just want to know, how can anyone be so beautiful, so beautiful as you? I spent every life of loving just to bring me back to loving you. Finding my way from the darker side. How would I know I would find a guide? Ah, but much to my deep surprise, I found myself falling right into your eyes. None of my gifts can buy your smile. Things of this world only last a while. And if I want too much, you show me the door that leads inside once more. Now I see I have just begun a surrender I have never known. You can take me far as I want to go, and all I must do is sit in love with you. And I just want to know, how can anyone be so beautiful, so beautiful as you? I spent every life of loving just to bring me back to loving you. I spent every life of loving just to bring me back to loving you. As long as you hold me in your memory, remember when your dreams have ended, time can be transcended. Just remember me. I am the one star that keeps burning so brightly. It is the last light to fade into the rising sun. I'm one with you. You tell my story, for I'm the only one. Remember, I will still be here as long as you hold me in your memory. Remember me. I am the one voice in the cold wind that whispers, and if you listen, you'll hear me call across the sky. As long as I still can reach out and touch you, then I will never die. Remember, I'll never leave you as long as you hold me in your memory. Remember me. Remember, I will still be here as long as you hold me in your memory. Remember, when your dreams have ended, time can be transcended.